Young diver Ben McDaniel went on a solo cave dive late in the evening, but he won't be coming back. After numerous searches by police, rescuers and the best divers in the world, Ben was never found. His disappearance is one of the most mysterious and difficult to explain. Could this adventurous and fearless young man fall victim to the dark recesses of the cave? Or are there darker explanations for his sudden disappearance from the face of the earth? By the end of the 2000s, Ben McDaniel faced difficulties in life. He had recently divorced his wife. His construction business had failed. And he owed $50,000 to the Tennessee Internal Revenue Service. But the worst thing that happened in his life was that he found his 22-year-old brother Paul unconscious at home and was unable to save him. Paul died of a stroke. Ben's parents advised him to move to their vacation home in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, to get through the hard times while enjoying the sea and sun. Ben agreed and took his beloved Labrador with him. He started a new life, trying to forget about past failures and grief. Moving to the Gulf Coast allowed Ben to take up his favorite hobby, scuba diving, which he had enjoyed since he was 15 years old, training in the family pool. Although he lived on the coast, he preferred to dive in fresh water during his holidays, often visiting the Vortex Springs Dive Center. This is a recreational, camping and diving park located near the tiny town of Ponce de Leon in Florida. It is the largest diving center in the state and attracts divers from all over the world. The main attraction of Vortex Spring is the underwater cave. The cave begins at a depth of 15 meters, then the passage narrows into darkness. At a depth of 90 meters the passage is blocked by a gate. The key to this gate is only available to those with a cave diving certificate, which requires 2 months of training, including 125 dives with an instructor or certified partner. This strict policy was introduced after the death of 13 divers in the cave in the 90s, after which it was decided to ban diving without a certificate. There is a stop sign in front of the gate, followed by a warning to divers about the fatal consequences of diving beyond this point. Passing through the gate opens a horizontal section 450 meters long, with a cave depth of almost 100 meters. The narrowest part is only 25 centimeters wide. Some divers consider this narrow part of the cave to be impassable, while others claim the opposite. Passage is only possible in one direction, and return is no longer possible. At this point, divers who decided to go further would have to remove their tanks and hold them at their sides or front, and squeeze their bodies to squeeze through. The official map at this point simply states that research is ongoing. The cave map was compiled by experienced diver Steve Keane, who worked in the cave for more than 100 hours with his team in 2003. He paved the far part of the course. In mid-August, after 4 months in Florida, Ben returned to Tennessee for a week. His parents and his 33-year-old girlfriend, wetland biologist Emily Greer, noted that he seemed optimistic. He told them he was working on getting his instructor certification so he could find a job and was also studying cave diving. He was sharing his plans to start a diving business with his girlfriend. On August 14th, he returned to Florida, leaving a letter in Tennessee promising to take care of his parents when they were older. He expressed gratitude to his mother for the opportunity to return to Florida and find himself again. The letter ended with the words, "I love you all." Ben left on August 18th, Wednesday. After returning to his Santa Rosa Beach house, he headed back to the Vortex Spring. "I made one dive in the middle of the day." Witnesses said he was staring at the area near the cave entrance as if he was planning something. He later dived into the cave and after surfacing, he filled his tanks at a dive shop. He spent the afternoon at the spring, checking his equipment and making notes in his dive diary. In the evening he was preparing for the next dive and called his mother. This was the last contact with the family. At about 7:30 p.m., when the sky over the city became dark, Ben went down the narrow passage and plunged into the clear water of the spring. He was last seen near a locked gate that prevents uncertified divers from entering the most dangerous parts of underwater caves. 2 Vortex Spring employees, Eduardo Turan and Chuck Cronin, were finishing their dive after their shift and noticed someone trying to get into the cave by breaking into the fence. It was Ben. He did not have the necessary scuba diving certifications to rent a key from the store and open the gate. Employees Eduardo and Chuck decided it was safer to let him through the gate and save him 5 to 6 minutes of precious underwater time rather than risk drowning if he got stuck trying to break through the fence. They opened the gate for him and floated out. Since then, no one has seen Ben again. Eduardo and Chuck saw Ben diving into the cave late. They had to stay at the source until they saw bubbles on the surface of the water, indicating the start of the decompression procedure for a safe ascent. However, on the night of August 18th, instead of waiting for bubbles on the surface, Eduardo and Chuck returned home for coffee. The next morning, Thursday, Ben's black pickup truck remained in the parking lot, but none of the dive center employees thought anything of it. On Friday, a day after Eduardo Turan disappeared, the man who opened the gate to Bennu Cave that evening noticed his pickup truck was still parked in the parking lot. Fearing that something had happened to him underwater, he called the police. Police sealed off the source with yellow police tape and parked an ambulance nearby. No wetsuits, tanks or other diving equipment were found, and there were no signs of a struggle near his pickup truck or anywhere else. His wallet containing nearly $1,100 in cash, his cell phone and some diving equipment were found in the cab of his pickup truck. Ben's dive logs were discovered and revealed that he had explored the cave. In addition, a map of the cave that he made was found. Holmes County Sheriff Captain Harry Hamilton thought he was preparing for a deep dive and began searching for Ben. The divers explored the cave, feeling every little crevice and recess where Ben might have crawled into in a panicked attempt to escape due to the fact that the air in his tanks had run out. Such cases of death when diving into caves have already occurred. Some of Ben's equipment was discovered in the cave, 3 decompression tanks. Typically, divers place decompression tanks along their route to ensure they have enough air when returning from it. However, it was suspicious that these cylinders were found underwater almost at the entrance to the cave. That is, at shallow depths. Another suspicious fact was that the discovered cylinders contained only air, and not a gas mixture, as usual. One of the experienced divers involved in the search later remarked that if Ben had read books on cave diving, as his parents said, he would have known that deep diving required the use of a gas mixture. Without it, divers may feel intoxicated and their ability to make decisions becomes hampered. However, the discovered cylinders were not used by Ben. Ed Sorensen was standing on the deck of his yacht in the Bahamas while the expedition was in full swing when he received a message from his wife that a diver had gone missing. Searches on Friday and Saturday were unsuccessful. If anyone in Florida could be considered a pro at recovering the bodies of drowned divers, it was Ed Sorensen, the burly, athletic owner of a dive center with more than 2,500 dives under his belt. Sorensen could safely explore the most inaccessible nooks and crannies of caves that others refused to explore. When he returned on Saturday, his fellow divers and rescuers turned to him for help. "No one without special training will be able to go further in this cave," said one of the divers. Sorensen prepared for the dive on Monday to use less air by using an underwater scooter to move quickly through the cave, but had to abandon it when the cave became narrow. He continued to explore further and deeper, overcoming narrow passages and the most inaccessible places. Near the end of the map, Sorensen discovered marks on the limestone that had already been placed by another rescue diver. He continued to squeeze further, but did not find any traces of the drowned diver. There were no scratches on the limestone, no prints on the clay floor, no signs of underwater scavenger activity. Without experience in cave diving, Ben would not have been able to navigate some of the narrowest passages in the cave. Sorensen said, "I know what I'm doing," he said. "I barely made it. The last place I looked was untouched. Without any sign of a diver being there, it would have been impossible to get past that restriction without marks on the floor or ceiling." "He's not there," Sorensen said. Police Captain Hamilton invited 2 teams of special dogs trained to detect odors into the cave. The first of them reacted positively to water, indicating the presence of decomposition processes. The second group also reacted, confirming the possibility of finding the body in the cave. But the government's water tester tested the water about 30 times over the past few months, and none of the tests showed even the slightest spike in bacteria. Let's look at the main theories for the disappearance of Ben McDaniel. These theories have been put forward by the police, Ben's parents, divers, and have also been discussed on various forums. The first theory is that Ben McDaniel allegedly decided to take his own life due to the breakdown of his marriage, a failed business, the loss of his brother and a $50,000 debt to the government. There is also a note he left at his parents' home a few days before he disappeared, thanking them for giving him the chance to return to Florida and promising to take care of them. He also expressed his love for everyone. Could these personal failures have forced Ben to take such a step? Could he leave his parents who had just lost one son? Could his friend Emily have influenced his decision? If Ben really made the decision to say goodbye to life in this way, why then did the best divers never find him in the cave? The second theory suggests that Ben decided to fake his disappearance in order to start a new life. The same theory was expressed by Chuck Cronin, one of the two divers who saw Ben in the cave on the day of his disappearance. Is it possible that he tried to avoid problems by freeing himself from debt and failure? Could he have hidden decompression tanks in a cave and then surfaced to a new life? If that was the case, then he left no traces behind. Police Captain Harry Hamilton monitored his bank account, phone, email and Facebook, but there was silence everywhere. Ben just disappeared. Moreover, another unclear issue arises with the two divers. They might have witnessed the tragic incident and fearing the consequences of giving Ben access to the gate, they decided to take the body from the water and hide it to avoid punishment for their fatal mistake. And now for something strange. Kelly Lowell, the owner of Vortex Spring at the time, had previously been criminally charged. He was accused of kidnapping his employee, who, according to him, owed a large sum of money. Kelly took him to a wooded area and tried to force him to give him money using a baseball bat. The man managed to escape, and Kelly was charged with assault and kidnapping. This story seems strange. Could the owner of the dive center where Ben disappeared be involved in his disappearance? On December 3, 2011, 4 months after Ben disappeared, while preparing food at the dive center, Kelly Lowell falls down the stairs, suffering a head injury, and dies sometime later. Friends, write in the comments what really could have happened to diver Ben McDaniel. If you want more stories like this, then subscribe to the channel and like.